Samuel Rowbotham proved that you can see too far for a curved Earth of about 25,000 miles in circumference, and in number 7 I showed that he used a scientific method and that his results were repeatable. So Rowbotham's next experiment, also made in 1838, involved placing 6 flags 1 mile apart so that the top of the flag was 5 feet above the water surface. But close to the last flag another flag was placed, which was 3 foot square with the top 8 feet above the water level. This meant that lining up the telescope with the top of the first 2 flags at 5 feet above the waterline and looking towards Welney Bridge, if the Earth were flat, then Rowbotham would see the top of each flag in line and see the last big flag with its bottom edge also in line, this being a flag 3 feet in depth with its top at 8 feet high. This he indeed did observe, but if the Earth were curved, then when he lined up with the first 2 flags, the third flag would have been 8 inches below the other 2, and the fourth would have been 3 feet, the fifth 6 feet below, the sixth over 10 feet, and the seventh coming in for 14 feet below the line of sight of the first 2 flags. And with regard to the larger flag at the very end being 8 feet above the waterline instead of 5 feet, its lower edge would have also been near 14 feet below the line of sight at point B. So again, Rowbotham had proved that indeed the Earth was flat. Now many other experiments were carried out using different ways to measure, but each result clearly showed the Earth was flat. But hold on, wait a minute, roll forward to 1870. That's 32 years after the first experiments, and now we're getting into the realms and times of the new science, and a man named John Hampden wagered that he could repeat Rowbotham's experiment and get the same result, proving once again that the Earth was flat. This has shades of today's experiments carried out by the likes of Geronism, Bob Nodell and Globebusters using lasers, P900s and the like. Now the wager was taken up by Alfred Wallace, a noted naturalist and surveyor who was also a Freemason, an ardent friend of the evolutionist Charles Darwin. Of course, he is going to come up with a different result. We face the same time-honoured battle today, and this is why I think this is so important. It is history repeating itself. Of course, Wallace won the bet. However, Hampden published a pamphlet alleging that Wallace had cheated. Surprise, surprise. And sued for the return of the money. Several protracted court cases then ensued. This resulted in Hampden being imprisoned for libel, but indeed the court also determined that Wallace had indeed cheated. Work that one out. But it seems that from the evidence, the determination of a flat Earth was upheld in the court. I don't know what went on, but it seems that the so-called modern scientist and evolutionist had cheated on his experiments to get the required results. Where have we heard all this before? Still, it certainly gives you something to think about.